She was never asked what she wanted to be. Never. The only person who asked her what she wanted to become was Baban, her father's father, a man due to his close proximity with the British and ruling class during the First Republic, working as a clerk, understood all too well the importance of education, Western education, to read, to write, the power that books had to make you travel, experience new cultures, people, understand perspectives, see nuance, understand nuance. Her reply, a teacher. She wanted nothing more than to be a teacher. For what greater privilege is there than to shape minds? What an honor. And so when her NYC year came, she couldn't be more excited than to be teaching. She was going to live out her dream for 1 year. Her dream to be a teacher, to teach. And so she became a teacher, teaching literature and English language at government school in GRA. Oh, what a joy. She had a whole life, whole year planned out. She will introduce her students to her favorite authors, Zainab Adkali, Helen Habila, Habubakar Adam Ibrahim, and Razinat Muhammad. When her fellow corps members would go out to mingle and explore or just take a break, from work, she turned down the opportunity and focused on her lesson plans and lesson notes. But it paid off. She became an excellent teacher, and her students adored her, loved her classes, and never missed a class. On Sunday night, 8th of September, she stayed up later than usual, ignoring texts from her friends to meet up at their usual spot for some suya and fura de nuno. She turned it down. You see, it's the second week of this month and the second week of a new term and a session as well. And so that means new students, new class, new year. So she prepped longer than she usually would, late into the night, carefully and meticulously creating a lesson plan that will help ease the new class into the texts and poems selected for the year. Eyes drooping and in need of sleep. So she can get ready for the next day and be early and be at her best for Monday, and also to attend the Monday assembly, which is compulsory for all staff and teachers. And just like that, she went to bed late into the night. But she never made it to the assembly ground on Monday, September 9th. Her lesson notes washed away like sand, just like her. It didn't stand a chance as the waters rose, submerging her dreams, her aspirations swept away, forever gone. Exactly 762.7 kilometers away, Baban dials her number frantically as he hears the announcer break the news of the flood. 400,000 displaced. What you see on the screen behind me is what is happening in Maiduguri, Borno State. Very soon you see the pictures right behind me. This home is the home of Yakubu Abubakar, News Central's cameraman stationed in Maiduguri, Borno State. Yakubu, like many others, will come back to this. Rubbles. Nothing. They will have no choice but to rebuild homes, appliances, farmlands, businesses, schools, mosques, offices, hospitals, gone. With 11 confirmed dead and 1 million displaced, the blame for the cause of the flooding keeps shifting. But one thing is certain, negligence caused this. Negligence caused this. 11 people to die. Negligence caused 1 million people to be displaced. Negligence caused people to lose their homes, their jobs, investments. Negligence killed her. Our hearts go out to those who have lost their lives and to the dozens who are left to rebuild after such a devastating disaster. And so to you, safe and dry in your home, allow me to say a prayer. Might I say a prayer for you? May you never wake up and find your life turned upside down and you end up in an IDP camp because of negligence. And on that note, welcome to to the last installment of this week's Breakfast Extra. Join us, yours truly, Judith TV, and my capable co-host, Ms. Appeal, who is looking dapper and capable as usual.
Dapper and also quite a somber opening to the show today.
Well,
I mean, that touched me. It did.
It is. It's very important that we continue to tell the stories. They are important to our fictional her. It could be anyone. Indeed. But anyway, you are welcome to the show. Get ready. It's going to be quite the show this morning. Welcome to Breakfast Extra.
And thank you once again for joining us on this Sunday edition for Breakfast Extra. As always, we're going to be bringing you some very interesting topics from through the week and perhaps maybe even yesterday. But this morning we're going to be starting with the news on the front pages of the Daily. So if you're ready, we're going to ask you guys to come with us, but not before I say to Judith here, my capable co-host. Well, that was a very interesting. I thought it was a real person at the start.
Yeah, well, you missed the other one.
Yeah, it could be anybody.
It could be anyone. It could have been
many of the. How many people that were displaced?
Yeah.
I can't remember
400,000 is the number we're working with. And what's really sad as well is that the fact that also we've seen the photographs on our group, and now we have to, as colleagues, it's important that our responsibility that we shield them and help and also crowdfund. But just imagine those who don't have the security that they have to have such a wonderful workforce as we have, wonderful board of directors, wonderful MD who want to support and support their staff. What about those who don't have anybody at all, who is just like her, who just comes into the state and is living out a dream and is young and vibrant and excited for the future, only to be washed away.
Yeah. Sad there.
Sad.
Tear.
Sad indeed.
Well, this morning we're going to be starting with the Nation newspaper for the Daily. So if you join us, we'll have that on your screen now. So first, front center for Sunday Nation, NNPC trucks stormed Dangote Refinery to commence lifting of petrol. So here's the story. After the show yesterday, I did one of my rounds on my bike and I rode all the way to that end of town.
Right.
And I didn't realize why there were so many trucks heading in that direction. First off, the roads are bigger, wider now because they prepared for this.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like there was traffic or anything, but there were so many trucks and it didn't quite click. But now noting this and seeing the pictures and videos that have hit social media, you begin to wonder what's going to become of that part of town.
Right.
Is there are there ancillary or are there thoughts to making sure that it doesn't affect the daily lives of people? So that's my biggest concern. But we're waiting to see that PMS hit the station so we can go get it. Still continues here. Officials keep mum on price. Why marketers can't buy directly from Refinery now. Lagos State government to enforce effective traffic management. There we go. Thank you very much, Sanwo-Olu. Tinubu hails military operations in Northwest. This from the top of the paper. And APC PDP in show of strength holds mega rallies in Benin. At the bottom, First Lady Oluremi Tinubu commends Paralympians, gifts gold medalists 32 million naira. Welcome home. What a welcome for them. Congratulations once again. What are we doing next?
Sunday Times, indeed. Let's move on to Sunday Times for our next big story. The very first one at the very top there, Nigeria's ravaging flooding raises concerns about looming food scarcity. Siege on Southeast, security agents build trillion naira extortion industry at checkpoints. Road users growing as travel time triples amid intimidation. Insecurity on the rise despite occupation group, and that's from a group there saying Mazuna is always on the road, so this one he knows for certain what that feels like. At the bottom there, let's see. Mawah garlands for Africa's Queen of Media at 60. Derivation funds, EFCC investigates South governors, cites high-scale embezzlement. 7 days to Edo Guba, fireworks as major parties hold mega rallies. Chieftains relocate to Benin. That's all for the Sunday Times.
Mo is 60? Wow.
Yeah, she doesn't look a day over 40.
Impressive. Moving on now to the Sunday Independent. Edo gubernatorial elections. Acid test for Nigeria's democracy, says Damagun. Couldn't agree more. Arrest, defection, or rather detention of PDP chieftains unsettles party. Iaga Africa. Concerned citizens caution INEC security agencies, and INEC deploys 1,836 observers, accredits 721 journalists. At the top for the Sunday Independence, ASU condemns members, victimization, flays VC's governing council, visitors, high-handedness. And 3 rescued students from collapsed hostel in stable conditions, says Uniben management. Did you see the video?
I did.
There's a video of students trying to rescue their colleagues, and I was holding my breath and hoping that they were okay, but good to see that they're stable now. At the bottom, Shetima Pabio Ganduje, others wrap up APC's campaign in Edo. Plenty of talk about that on today if you stick around. And Lagos assures a free traffic flow as petrol loading begins at Dangote Refinery today. I'm still hoping big time.
We all are hoping, aren't we? At the top there for the Sunday Sunday Punch newspaper. Switch gears now to the Sunday Punch newspaper. There we go. At the top there, PDP vows to defend votes with blood as Edo rally winds down. That story is on page 3. NAFDAC right to check spiritual products. Methodist Archbishop. That story is on page 25.
Is it okay if I chuckle?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
There we go. Marketers eye direct deal with Dangote as NNPC buys petrol for 766 naira. 300 trucks load fuel today. That story is on page 3. By the way, I know a friend who was looking for press access to go to Dangote to capture the first.
It's like Fort Knox. You can't really get in.
You can't. That's like, look, I've tried. You know, you can try, but I've tried as well. The killing wanted terrorist shows military can secure Nigeria, says Tinubu. That story is on page 4. Jailbreak escaped Boko Haram commanders, murderers, others hit 4,643. That story is on page 6. How fraudulent task force extorts Ogun motorist. That story is on page 18. 41 Zamfara farmers drown as overloaded boats capsized. That story is on page 7. Miracle competes with medicine as Nigerians dump hospitals for healing water and soap. That story is on pages 16 and 17. Why I keep my relationship status private files. Well, Files, you have no choice now, do you?
Do we really want to know?
Yeah, exactly. You have no choice. Okay. Do you really want to know? But it's very interesting. One of the things that is always certain around this time where there's an economic downturn is that the religious institutions and they take advantage of, you know, and then there's also the Ponzi schemes that pop out as well, and those pyramid buying things, and, you know, why don't you join our Eagles Club? You know, that's we are selling
the one about
healthcare.
The religious, whatchamacallit, because if I had said it, I would have been knocked for it, but she said it, not I.
I said it, huh?
Let's move now to the Sunday Vanguard. You're done with the Sunday Punch,
Yes, I am.
And now the Sunday Vanguard. Relief begins today. Dangote Petrol. We keep saying this, but relief begins today. Dangote Petrol may sell for 857 naira to 855 naira per liter. It's 2 naira difference. That has got to count for something. At least now I can get a full tank for what? Let's see, 50 naira less. Judith, you're laughing. NNPC projected to lift product at 960 naira to 980 naira, sell to marketers at 840 and 850 naira. That smells like subsidy. And 130 naira under recovery in new arrangement. A plan will reduce pressure on Naira, says Edu, and Oil Corporation deploy 300 trucks vessels to refinery. We await clarity on pricing mode, says depot owners at the very top for the Sunday Vanguard. Governors get fresh alert as River Niger water level rises. It's coming to the Niger Delta. Remember, like I said yesterday.
It's coming.
In Borno, Zulum worried jailed terrorists might have escaped from Maiduguri prison. And fallout of Dangote, Scotland's only oil refinery to shut down, 400 jobs to go. So remember when this was a hot topic and people said that international people also had reverse interest, meaning that they didn't want this to also continue or to go live, because if it did, they also could suffer. And this might be exactly what that was talking about from weeks ago. 2027, I never said I'll be vice president to anyone, said Peter Obi. And Edo, how Benin, ESA, obedient, other factors may shape polls. That's for next week, Saturday. That's all we can take for the Sunday Vanguard. Moving on now to what do we have next?
We have the Sunday Tribune, I think. Let's see if we can pull that up. There we go. For the Sunday Tribune, flood destroyed 10,000 houses, rendered thousands homeless in Yobe. Committee reveals. You can find that story on page 4. Uniben students escape death as three-story building collapses. That story is on page 5. Edo Guba, stakes get higher as PDP, APC, LP go for broke. PDP holds a mega rally, vows to fight election riggers. APC ends campaign, receives defectors from PDP, LP, others. That story is on page 2 and 4. I cannot wait for September 21st to come and go. Nurses issue threat to federal government over closed verification portal. That story is on page 6. ASU kicks against victimization of members, urges varsity administrators, councils to respect the rule of law. That story is on page 6. Oyebanji seeks constructive oversight functions of Ekiti lawmakers. That story is on page 5. And lastly, NNPCL mobilizes over 100 trucks for PMS loading at Dangote Refinery. End of queues at filling stations in sight. And that's on page 5. Is the site at the end of the tunnel? Because I cannot see the...
Oh, we all hope to find it sometime. And that's it for the dailies this morning. Thank you very much for joining us bright and early to take that one. Let's let you guys know that come this Sunday,
you're going to have well to share for people.
Today, we're going to be touching on topics that we have also seen here, especially about the Edo elections to come next week. So please do stay with us. It's going to be a very informative show here for you. And of course, we will be touching on the Zamfara instance, as our correspondent Emmanuel Bagudu has been covering the issue of illegal mining among underage children. That's going to be our big report. Also, I told you about the Edo gubernatorial elections, so if that's your interest, make sure that you join us then, and plenty more coming your way. Do stay tuned. This is Breakfast Extra for Sunday. Now, there is an intense leadership crisis brewing within Nigeria's Labour Party, a party that once showed so much promise leading up to the 2023 elections, but it's now grappling with internal turmoil. From allegations of financial misconduct to leadership tussle, it's clear that the party is at a critical juncture. The Labour Party's journey to this crisis arguably began after its failed bid to unseat the ruling APC in the 2023 general elections. In the months that followed, issues of financial accountability, exclusion, and leadership have plagued the party. One of the biggest scandals came from allegations that over 3 billion naira raised for the 2023 campaign through the sale of forms and donations, was not properly accounted for.
Now, the party's national chairman, Julius Abure, has been at the center of the storm, and now with the formation of a national transition committee led by Senator Nenadi Usman, the party is split into two factions. The key question, that is what does the future hold for the Labour Party? So to help us understand better the situation, we're joined by Monday Mawah. He's a legal practitioner and member of the party. And also joining us is Mr. Tony Akeni Moin. He is the Chairman, Subcommittee on Media and Publicity, Labour Party National Transition Committee. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on and joining us this morning. Later on during the course of the conversation, we'll most likely be joined by Mr. Gambo Balarabe. He is the former Chairman, Contact and Stakeholders Engagement Committee, Labour Party National Transition Committee. But again, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. First of all, gentlemen, I would like to ask each of you what your positions are regarding the crisis inside of the LP regarding leadership, if you'd tell us, please. Let's start with you, Mr. Akeni.
Okay, thank you for having me. You're doing a good job there. I want to commend you for what you do, how you do what you do. Before I make my comment, let me establish our sympathy and condolences, that is the Labour Party, for the catastrophic flooding crisis that our compatriots, our countrymen and women, children are suffering from in Maiduguri. Our hearts go out to them. Now, about the Labour Party, yes, there are crises, but you can begin to say very clearly that there were crises. Those crises are over. Whatever is still hanging is in the imagination of the expired regime or junta of Julius Abure. First of all, that administration ended legally in every form and shape on June 9 this year, 2024, when the extension that Abure was able to boggle for himself in Asaba expired officially. And in the sincerity of the electoral institution, INEC, they have demonstrated to Nigerians in graphic terms that Abure was no more a figure, was no more an element, was no more a factor in the administration of Labour Party, in the existence of the Labour Party. So it is sometimes very upsetting to hear from the media, especially the media, who have the mandate of not just entertainment, but educating the public, still referring to Julius Abure as the national chairman of Labour Party. That has been done by one of you, and it's going all over across the country. How can this channel, for instance, address former President Buhari, Muhammadu Buhari, as the president of Nigeria? It is incongruous. So I want to appeal to you that you do your due diligence. The facts are out there in the public. The internet is 24 hours on duty. Check the documents we have put out. You will see very clearly that every condition that makes Abure to be described as past chairman of Labour Party, they are all in space there. So please help to reduce the confusion in the public by calling a spade, by describing the leadership of the Labour Party as it actually is. For anyone who had any other iota of doubt before today, the meeting that was conveyed on September 4 in Umuahia cleared it out. Who are the leaders of the Labour Party? You don't have to have a PhD in politics to know that the highest elected officer of the Labour Party in the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the governor of Abia State. Then you don't also need any medium of knowledge to know that His Excellency Peter Obi is the natural, moral, and political leader of Labour Party. They were all there, not by representatives. They were there themselves to represent themselves and tell the world what we of the National Transition Committee of the NLC Political Commission has been saying on the rooftops, that
Mr. Akeni,
Abure's tenure had expired. So we don't have any issue except that which is left in the imagination of Abure and his triumvirate or Roman Empire that
Thank you
he
very much,
was
Mr. Akeni.
running as a political party.
I would like to give Mr. Mawah his opportunity to tell us where he stands on this. But while he's doing that, I also want to bring something to note. Mr. Mawah, let's also talk about the factor of trust inside of the party. If you remember, one of the key accusations came from a former national treasurer, Mrs. Oluchi Okpara. You remember that name. Now, she alleged that as a treasurer, she wasn't even a signatory to the party's account. She further claims that only 55 million out of the total raised amounts was for Mr. Abure, was accounted for by Mr. Abure. So how do you think the party can regain the trust of its members and supporters amidst all of these serious allegations?
Yes, thank you. If you can recall vividly, this issue of Abure not being trustworthy, not fit to continue in the leadership of Labour Party, actually started with some of us as far back as 2003, precisely on the 5th of April. If you also follow the trend carefully, on the 5th of April 2023, the FCT High Court sitting in Abuja restrained Abure and 4 other principal members of the party from acting as a national officer of the party pending the determination of the motion before the court then, which issue was bordering on the investigation or the indictment of Abure by the police command in Abuja, where they indicted him of some amount of money. And then some of us came up and said, I was one of the lawyers, the major lawyer in that case that went to court against Abure, led by Chief Ogu. Chief Ogu came to court once. After that, I was the one representing Labour Party in that matter. And our position there was that Abure was no longer fit to continue to act as the national chairman of the party in view of the enormous allegation against him, in view of the restraining order of the FCT High Court. My brother, unfortunately, many persons in Labour Party tagged us as agents of APC. And that Abure was not corrupt, that no court of competent jurisdiction had convicted Abure, and therefore that Abure should continue to run the affair of the party. And then that continued. And I'm sure my friend here this morning will be privy to this information I'm giving. Now, that did not end there. If they had seen what we saw as at that early stage, as far back as April 2023, we would not have been where we are today. And they said, no, Abure is not corrupt. Abure is a saint. That Papa, Lamidia Papa, and some person then were being used to destabilize the party. And then we continued in that fight till Abure had a neck meeting. Despite the restraining order on the 5th, Abure had a neck meeting in Asaba on the 18th of April, that same 2023, which was widely attended by almost everybody calling for Abure's head today. And we came to the media and everywhere also, and we said, this is wrong. The party is a creation of law. There is a constitution in Labour Party. Article 14, sub 1 of the party says, every meeting of the party must be presided over by the national chairman of the party. Be it NEC, NWC, convention, it must be presided over by the national chairman of the party. And also, the Article 14, sub 2, paragraph B of the same Labour Party constitution says that in the absence of the national chairman, the deputy national chairman, who is the next in command, should step in immediately. And that as at that material point in time, that the deputy national chairman is Haji Lamidi Apapa, and that Papa should be allowed to step in. Some people said no, Apapa cannot step in, and that Abure should continue despite the order of court. And I argue somewhere, whether it was Arise this thing last week here, Arise TV or so, I told them, I said, Abure is like Abure is like a monster we have built for ourselves. Particularly these stakeholders that are now shouting that Abure is a demon. They built up Abure. After the time we are crying then to saying that Abure can no longer be allowed to continue, these same stakeholders we started saying, oh, that some of us were corrupt. I was the lawyer that represented the party in that suit in Abuja. And at the point, there was the time we visited Chief Olusegun Obasanjo over some of the issue, and then we narrated some of the issue that Abure cannot continue. But of course, Baba also, the position of Baba there was that, okay, since election was already closed, as at that point that they should allow for everybody to come together and decide the fate of Abure. So the point I am making is this: all of this corruption allegations started long ago, and none of these persons believed it. But the problem we are having today, the issue I have with the committee set up today is this: who called the meeting? In view of section article 14 sub 2 of the constitution of the Labour Party, it provides that every meeting of the party must be called by the national secretary of the party. Now, you see, why some of us are now saying this is that we need to be very careful is that the opposition, the PDP and APC are waiting for us, because you cannot build something on nothing and expect it to stand. If we do not handle this Labour Party issue carefully, we might end up running into a bigger problem by ourselves as the party. Why am I saying so? Now, if the party constitution which says that every meeting of the party must be called by the national secretary of the party, who called the meeting that held in Abia State? Don't forget also, there are organs within the party as defined and recognized by the constitution of the party. One of those organs, we have the NEC, the National Executive Committee of the party. We have the NWC, which sees to the day-to-day running of the party. Now, being a governor or former governor, a presidential candidate of a party, you are not a member of the NWC. And if you're not a member of the NWC, you are not empowered under the constitution to call a meeting of the party. So some of us, what we are saying is that...
Mr. Monday, I'd like to let you continue, but I would like to recognize the fact that we have Mr. Gambo Balarabi joining us now. However, we are only joined by voice. So let's first welcome him. Mr. Gambo, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Now, Mr. Gambo, before you joined us, we were talking about the positions of the gentlemen here regarding the headship of the LP party. And I wanted to bring this note to everybody here that an audit was called for by the former presidential candidate, that's Mr. Peter Obi, last year, 2023, for an audit so that there can be transparency into these matters in the party. But we're not sure if that audit actually went on. Why didn't it go on, or what suggestions do you have, Mr. Gambo, now for perhaps maybe why this is so within the Labour Party? Mr. Gambo, please.
Thank you very much.
Yes, go on, sir. Well, we seem to have lost communication with him. Mr. Akeni, can I come to you for that response, please, if you do not mind, regarding transparency and that audit that never seemed to happen?
It is just an assumption that it didn't happen. When His Excellency Peter Obi called for that audit, in his usual character of living by example, he produced his own records with a team that worked closely with him. Every record to do with the funds that came in and the expenditure that followed. So we have the records of Peter Obi. They're also in the public space. Of course, in the character of Abure, we are yet to see half a page of his own audit record or response to the audit request. And being that as it may, because we have a lot of hurdles ahead of us we want to cross, we are still allowing the system within to deal with that as an internal accounting request. I would also like to make a few comments about what my compatriot, the Labour Party member, I saw that on the screen, so I will call him a member of a party. When you use some words, I'm sure that you didn't mean any malice when you were saying this. Perhaps the depth of your anger and outrage, you were using the same tag to rob everybody. The Apapa you refer to, after this discussion on air, call him and ask him, who is Comrade Tony Akeni Lemoy? We saw some of these things far earlier than some of you. I still recall vividly a letter I wrote more than 3 pages analyzing the crisis that Abure's style of leadership was brewing. That was way back in 2022. That letter, I think dated October 22 or thereabout, I told Abure point blank that I would rather lose your friendship than play along with people who want to fawn upon you and get what they can get from you. What you have started is not going to end well. Please retrieve your steps. And then, of course, with tyrants who are bound to lose. He ignored that advice. I was not alone. Even elders from his own Asian nation living outside the country, I have their records, calling upon Abure to do what was right, to depart from that pathway of corruption, fraud, and dissembling of facts, and lead the party right, so that he could leave a legacy behind that the Asian nation will be proud of. Today, that is not what we have. Now, when you say you were crying about the issues and the stakeholders of today, that is the expression that I disagree with. The stakeholders were just exercising a different level of equanimity in the face of calamity. Abure's tenure from the day Peter Obi stepped in has been calamitous. But because we're facing a major election where we wanted to give Nigeria a breakthrough and a breakaway from the past catastrophe of misgovernance, we had to manage the issues that were coming from Abure's desk.
Mr.
Let us go into this
Mr.
election
Kenny, when you say we, are you referring to the national
we can go back and visit these things. So that is what the stakeholders did ultimately on April 8th, when we first convened to bring in on board every interest group. They were all invited. I am sure the group you belong to received an invitation to the meeting of April 8th calling for stakeholders. If you didn't attend, you had your own reasons. But it was not because you were neglected. So I needed to correct that.
All right, yes, thank you so much, sir.
All right, Mr. Akeni, I was trying to ask, when you said we, were you referring to the National Transition Committee? Mr. Akeni,
oh, yes, I was referring to the stakeholders that constituted the National Transition Committee. The National Transition Committee is constituted by
regarding the National Transition Committee,
vested interest in the party. Are we together?
Now, regarding the National Transition Committee,
Hello.
Can you please give us exactly what the function of the National Transition Committee is and why exactly it was set up as, when the Abure-led committee was still running?
Abure's tenure actually expired long before April 8, 2024, when the NLC Political Commission had to step in and invite stakeholders across the country to say that, look, we are running this party on illegality of Abure's continuation in office. We don't need to fight dirty in public. Let us come together, reason together, and since Abure was not ready to depart from that office, quietly and legally, let us bring the facts before him. The NLC, being a stakeholder, as established by a competent court, a federal high court in Abuja, which returned what we call the consent judgment of March 20, 2018, that the NLC is an institutional stakeholder, not like an individual, but an institutional stakeholder. And that consent judgment led to the expectation that within 1 year, after 20th of March 2018, which would have been 20th of March or 19th of March 2019, Abure would have conducted an all-inclusive national convention.
Mr. Kenny.
So he didn't do that. So the illegality or breach of the consent judgment, starting from that 1 year ultimatum given by the court judgment, was what led to the stakeholders coming together to say, if we continue like this, then we will be allowing illegality to have a permanent place in our budget.
All right. Now, well, Mr. Akeni, many thanks for that, your submission. We understand that we have Mr. Gambo Balarabe. He is now live. Unfortunately, he cannot join us with visuals, so we have to do with audio. But Mr. Gambo, can you hear us loud and clear now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. There we go. We can hear you. I mean, with all of
Am I audible?
Very, very clear. With all of the internal crisis going on, we've seen.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
I was about to ask the question. With all of the internal crisis going on, the tussle, two separate factions, the Labour Party had promising, prospects from at least coming from the 2023 general elections. How do you see the party steering clear from this so it doesn't fall into the same pattern as other, promising opposition parties as we've seen in the past?
No, sorry, I'm having glitches. I didn't get your question properly.
Okay, I'm going to ask you again.
Can you repeat your question, please?
Okay,
I'm sorry.
With the internal fighting and crisis and the factions going on, how can the Labour Party stand together, solidified, united, and not fall the same fate as the other opposition parties that we've seen in recent times?
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to remove that notion that there's a faction or there are factions in the Labour Party. There are no factions. This is true. There are people who feel they want to take the power and manage the party from their own perspective. The same party, but with people who want to feel that they know how to manage better, and so they want to actually be at the lead. Now, we are working. We started through the National Transition Committee to build one formidable structure. And the Transition Committee was a baby of necessity, which came about through the the political commission of the Nigerian Labour Congress. We went through a lot of processes to the level of getting INEC to recognize that entity. But along the line, we had a meeting, the NTC had a meeting with INEC, who proposed that a meeting be called of all encompassing stakeholders, including the Abure-led or expired-led leadership of the party. That never happened because Peter Obi, after meeting with the NTC, resolved to resolve the matter internally as a family, meaning the concept of INEC was now translated into an internal dispute resolution aspect, while Abure and every other stakeholder will come around a table and discuss way forward. This led to the Umahia expanded all stakeholder meeting. It never meant any harm. The meeting did not exclude anybody, including the Apapa who thought because I personally called Apapa and called some of his leaders and asked them to come to Umahia if they so wished, under the Abure, because later we heard that they have merged with Abure. And so Ladi Ilya and others were still part of Abure and were in Umahia. So the meeting in Umahia, as I heard earlier, that was erroneously called for by the governor. The governor had all right, because there was a leadership vacuum. Abure's tenure has expired along with his executive. And we have only 7 people remaining as constituted members of NEC, and the governor of Abia and his vice. Then the NLC Congress president and his secretary, the TUC president and his secretary, and the 2 women commission chairmen of NLC and TUC. They remain members of NEC. And so that there's no chairman, no secretary, and no other position title holder that has his tenure not expired, except these statutory members. The NEC advised the governor, who is the leader of the party, elected leader of the party, to actually convoke this meeting. I'm not saying the governor on his own decided. No, it is after consultation with INEC. I am privy to this discussion.
Mr.
And
Gamble.
so the governor went ahead. Yes.
Mr. Gamble, I want to say, first
can hear me.
I want to jump on something that you had said and also bring Mr. Monday Mawah here. Now, when you said that there were no factions, we had a reaction from Mr. Monday. We also have reactions online of people asking exactly regarding that lack of factions that you spoke about. Mr. Monday, what was that reaction we saw you give when Mr. Gamble referred to the no faction instance in the LP?
I think my friend there is just trying to be diplomatic in his approach. You can't say there is no faction in Labour Party. Right from the period Abure was restrained, the Apapa faction emerged in Labour Party. And that continued, and we're looking at how it will be managed. Unfortunately, it was not properly managed. And before I even go deeper, Mr. Tony tried to correct the position I made earlier when I said the same stakeholder. What I meant by that was that, with the greater respect, His Excellency Peter Obi, as at that time we were calling for Abure removal, was seriously in romance with Abure. Even the governor of Abia State, they tagged everyone then, including Apapa himself, as being used. And now this same thing we're talking about then is what they are all seeing today. And some of them are now saying, oh, why is the Papa and his group are not joining them? But let's leave that. Let me focus on your question. I just wanted to make that clarification quickly. Now, the fashion, when Abure, don't forget, Abure also held a convention, whether legally or illegally, at Oka in Anambra State. That convention is still on till date, my brother, and people were elected from that convention. I'm against that convention because as far as we are concerned, Abure at that particular point in time was not having the capacity to call for convention. Unfortunately, he called for it, and people emerged from that convention, including himself. Now, the law is that when a thing has been done, whether legally or rightly or wrongly, that thing still remain valid until set aside by a court of competent jurisdiction. INEC, I'm saying this again, and I want it to be on record, and this thing will come back after now to hurt us in Labour Party. INEC has no power to declare a convention that had already been declared done, null and void. INEC has no such constitutional power. Section 82 and 84 of the Electoral Act that empowers INEC to participate in a meeting of a political party only gives INEC a participatory right.
All
and
right.
If you invite INEC for a party function and INEC on its own will refuse to attend, that does not in itself, legally speaking, invalidate the meeting of that party.
Mr. Monday, we're going to come back to this. We're going to come back to this and let you finish. We're going to go on a very short break, but when we come back, we'll give you the opportunity to conclude your thought. Do stay with us. We'll be back.
And you're watching Breakfast Extra. Before the break, we were talking to members of the Labour Party, Mr. Akeni Moin, as well as Mr. Gambo Balarabe, and of course, Monday Mawah. And it's been just a conversations on the tussle, the internal crisis in Labour Party. Now, as we wrap up this session, today's been just 20 or 40, 30 minutes of in-depth conversation. I would like to get your final reactions, and I'm going to start with you, Monday Mawah. I know that you you said I cannot speak to you, hence why we have not been able to ask any questions to you. Hopefully you won't be able to walk away with my next question. But I want to ask you, and I asked this question yesterday, Nenadi has extended an olive branch, and she's asked for, collaboration from both factions, from the Abure-led ESCOs and the new National Working Committee, Transition Committee together. Do you see an instance where these two factions can come together and work together ahead of 2027?
Of course, it's possible. Nothing is impossible in my own view. But
what would it take? What would it take? What would it take? I understand Monday's frozen there. Mr. Akeni Moin, I have to ask you, what would it take to see a Abure-led faction, or, okay, I understand that Monday is back on. But Monday, I was asking, what would it take, for that olive branch to be received?
Yes, like I said earlier, everybody believes it's important, and you must give them that sense of belonging.
We seem to have lost him there. But Mr. Akeni Moin.
When it changed into this, we started up together, and I know how many things have done for Labour Party. But immediately Abure changed it to all of this kind of thing. I never supported him. But the point is that, like I said yesterday, we must not put the cart before the horse. We must call Abure I'm still saying it today, he's still a very serious stakeholder in Labour Party. We still have a faction in Labour Party. So we must bring Abure on the table. Yes, he believes now he's still a national chairman by virtue of the purported convention he conducted in Anambra State. But we must also try to bring him. See how we can talk to him. Not just Abure, we have a papa. Not just a papa, we have Mr. Okako Kalitus. All those people are all stakeholders. So we have, in bringing a lasting peace that will be embraced by all and sundry, we must be humble enough to bring all of them together.
All right,
not
then,
sitting
Mr.
on the high horse, making them look like they are not important. They are all important. It's a family affair.
Mr. Akeni. All right, Mr. Monday, many thanks. Let's switch now to Akeni because we're out of time. Mr. Akeni, your final thoughts in 30 seconds, please.
Okay. Akeni is the actual pronunciation of
my name. Akeni, apologies.
Thanks. One, the sense that our legal brother is conveying to the public is a mixture, transgender of, partisanship. In one breath, he wants the party to move forward. In another breath, he's excavating issues that can stop the party from moving forward. When you examine carefully what he has been saying, he probably did not mean it that way. But what he's saying is that he recognizes the convention, the illegal convening of wolf packs of like minds that took place in Inewi. INEC did not recognize it. The stakeholders of the party did not attend. And the stakeholders include the elected members of the Labour Party in the National Assembly, in the various state houses of assembly. They did not attend. Now, a papa who you refer to as a neglected stakeholder, no, he was not neglected. Even in the very critical April 8 stakeholders meeting that we had in Abuja, he was invited prior to that time. And 2 days to that time, I called him. And he told me that, yes, he had received the invitation, but he had logistics constraints, how to get to Abuja and accommodation and all of that. So,
all right.
If not for, he would have.
All right. Well, we want to say thank you, gentlemen, for coming, and appreciate you for taking out the time this morning, Sunday morning, to come in here and have this very important conversation about the future of Labour Party. Once again, many thanks to you both, and also to Mr. Gambo Balarabe, who took out time from his busy schedule to join us. We appreciate you for doing this with us this morning. Many thanks.
Thank you.
We'll switch gears now to bring you the breakfast headlines. Stay with us.
Welcome, Breakfast Headlines here inside of Breakfast Extra. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now let's begin with issues in Nigerian oil sector, where marketers are calling for direct access to premium motor spirit, petrol, from the Dangote Refinery, criticizing the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPCL, dominant control over the market. Chinedu Ukadike, the National Publicity Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, urged that the market should remain open to all, in line with the NNPCL's earlier willing buyer, willing seller commitment. Last week, the NNPCL stated that it was not the sole buyer of products from the Dangote Refinery and that the refinery was free to sell its petrol to any marketer. However, just a week later, the federal government announced that the NNPCL will be the exclusive buyer of petrol from the refinery. At a press briefing in Abuja on Friday, Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, confirmed that marketers interested in purchasing petrol would need to go through the National Oil Firms Trading Company. To update on the flood situation in Borno State now, camps for displaced flood victims in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, are facing critical overcrowding as economic hardship drives more people to seek refuge. The National Emergency Management Agency is calling for urgent intervention to support the increasing number of displaced persons. News Central Sumaru Kirawa completes the report.
This is Bakassi IDP camp, one of the largest sites currently home to over 26,000 people. More families continue to arrive daily, seeking shelter from the devastation.
Surala wahala lankare, sutiro wahala langayana ma, gwamnar askirnyana isuna andi agusalam dunai, askirnyana amma amdoni kakari ba isana andi hangal yadaduna, buri gwada yan jim gulda kam ka andar sarin amma andi namyana andi amde surombaro andi zuwada imba.
Local authorities are doing their best to address the immediate needs of the growing population, but resources are stretched thin and the challenges are immense.
This is an international catastrophe. We have never seen something of this magnitude here, and of course we are overwhelmed. Assistance is needed from all partners, the federal government, the state government, and any partner that can assist in bringing our people, removing our people from this distress. I think is needed presently because there's still inadequate food, there's inadequate sanitary kits, there is still inadequate water supply. However, NEMA has sent in the water purifiers.
Hawa Mustafa, one of the flood victims, has come to the NEMA mobile clinic seeking medical care. Other patients also voiced frustration over the long wait times to receive medical attention at the camps. The influx of non-food victims has further strained already limited resources, leading to dire conditions including food shortages, inadequate sanitation, and a lack of medical supplies.
Despite ongoing challenges including damaged infrastructure and limited access to affected areas, rescue teams are working tirelessly to meet up with trapped individuals who are in distress. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has dismissed any plans by government to regulate the cost of house rent within the federal capital. The minister made this known during a visit to the largest quarry in West Africa located at the Kubwa district, saying rent regulation will discourage investment who intend to support government's efforts aimed at providing housing for citizens. Amadin Uyi reports.
It was a visit to the largest quarry in West Africa, situated in the federal capital. The team led by the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike took time to inspect operations and activities ongoing in the quarry. He expressed satisfaction at the work seen on ground, but reservations at the impact on the environment.
I would not lie to you. I'm really encouraged what I've seen. I'm really very encouraged. My only problem is the environmental impact assessment, which is said they are up to standard, they have no problems. I think it's mind-boggling. Very, very, very.
The minister, however, says that his visit is not connected to housing plans and efforts aimed at tackling its cost within the capital.
There's never been a time that Nigerians have never complained about increasing rent. There's never been a time. Even as students, when I was in university, when we want to go and get maybe a self-contained at that time, and they say you should pay 100,000 naira a year. We also complain 100,000 a year. It's too high.
He dismissed plans of regulating the cost of house rent in the capital, saying government has no intention of doing so.
I don't agree with people who are always complaining about rent increase. There are all increases in everything today. So that should not be simple that you want us to make a law to say that a two-bedroom flat should not be more than 50,000 naira, for example, or 100,000 naira. I don't think you're encouraging the investors. That's not a major problem now.
The quarry owned by Zaba said is located in the Kubwa district and has about 800 employees. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
The Nigerian government has increased fees for unity schools from 45,000 naira to 100,000 naira per term, a 120% hike. Similarly, the Lagos state government has raised fees for state-owned boarding schools from 35,000 naira to 100,000 naira. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has condemned the increase, calling them a violation of the Child's Right Act and Lagos State Child's Right Law. He argued that the new fees are unaffordable as they exceed the minimum wage of 70,000 naira, making it impossible for a worker to sponsor even one child. Falana has vowed to challenge the decision in court. Meanwhile, the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, has revealed that many state governments have failed to access over 45.7 billion naira in matching grants for basic education between 2020 and 2023. And that's all the news at the top of the hour this hour. Do stay tuned. We've got more coming your way inside our Breakfast Extra.
With just days to the highly anticipated Edo gubernatorial election, tensions are rising and the political landscape is filled with uncertainties. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, faces internal conflicts and external controversies, from their refusal to sign the peace accord to allegations of security agency bias. As campaigns enter the final stretch, the PDP's leadership has raised concerns about the integrity of the election process, while rival parties prepare for their final push to win the hearts of Edo voters.
So joining us today to discuss these pressing issues is Kenneth Imwese, Member Publicity Committee, APC Campaign Council, who will shed light on the unfolding dynamics and the future of Edo politics. You are welcome, Mr. Kenneth. Good to have you here this Sunday morning.
Good morning. Good to have you. Good to be here too.
Good, and it's good to have you. Let's start by asking you, with the recent signing of the peace accord by your candidate, Monday Okwebolo, how confident is the APC that this commitment will contribute to a fair and peaceful election in Edo State, especially considering the security concerns raised by the opposition?
Oh, we are very confident because my principal, our candidate, Senator Monday Okwebolo, is a man of peace, a peaceful person who can attest to that with his recent signing of the peace accord, a man who believes in peace. He is a first timer in the Senate. His last election he had last year, no one single incident of violence in the whole of Esa land. It was a very peaceful process, and he emerged winner, you know, with a very wide margin against an incumbent senator. And even at that, there was no incident of violence across Esa land. You can confirm this from any source. So naturally, he's a man of peace, and I believe that he stands for peace. The APC as a party stands for peace. And that's why we are confident that there will be peace on that day in Edo State, on 21st of September, when the election will be held.
Now, Governor Obaseki and the PDP have expressed concerns about the fairness of security operations in the state, and they've raised concerns specifically with saying that some chieftains were arrested in the state. What steps is the APC taking to address these concerns and ensure that the upcoming election is perceived as free and fair by all parties?
The issue of security of elections is the prerogative of the Nigeria police. And I think, to my own knowledge, they are doing that to the best of their capability and their ability. We, on our own as a party, we are playing our own role by signing the peace accord, by ensuring that we do not indulge in violence. Throughout the campaigns, which started around April or thereabout, we have never indulged in any violence act or attack. Rather, it has been the PDP that has been orchestrating violence across the state. Either they are attacking the APC members or they are attacking labor members. It has been the trend. It is a familiar trend. It's a trend that has been going on from around May, when one of their campaign council members, I think the member of the director of their publicity, one Reverend Olu Martins, did threaten to pull down the billboards of the Labour Party around the state. Did threaten to beat up opposition members if they are caught. Did threaten that they were ready for violence when the elections or when the campaign starts. And beginning from that moment, it has been from violence orchestrated by the PDP members against the Labour members. When the Labour Party elected a candidate, Olumide, did complain if being shot or being destroyed across the state. It did complain to in a video that went viral that his members were beaten up across the state. And he accused the PDP that if they accused the APC, the oppressive party, he accused the PDP of inflicting violence on his people, Labour Party members. The PDP continued that. They didn't rest there. They started with it. And in June, the deputy governor was coming from Abuja. He said that he was there at the airport in Benin. Was coming. Area is to be so pronounced report. And unfortunately, PDP guys, or we were attacked at the airport. APC was attacked. The candidate of APC was attacked at the airport. And in the course of that, his family was shot there. And from there, all violence started in the state. And well, that's not the state, being the governor, being the leader of the state, should have won this to desist from further. I came on one of the. It came on air. I mean, there was a video that went viral too. Where he's threatening that if his people, his members, or those who
police were looking for, as regarding the police officer, if they were further arrested, that Nigeria will burn. And this was echoed by recently last week here, by who's also a member of PDP in those states, that if Sony is not declared winner of the election coming up this Saturday, that those states will burn. So it has been a familiar pattern for the PDP. They have been preaching violence and they have been practicing violence so far. Not just against the APC, like I wish to reiterate, against the Labour Party as well. The facts are there, the records are there.
Okay, Mr. Kenneth, we're struggling with bad connection here, but we did get most of what you said. Thank you very much. Now, there was the instance of the accident that happened regarding your party candidate, and we're hoping that the party is at least showing some responsibility with the families that are involved. How's that going?
Are you talking about the airport incident?
Yes.
I spoke about it now. The APC candidate was attacked at sometime around June, I guess, July. Around.
Mr. Kenneth, this is not. It's about your candidate convoy. We've seen videos on social media where your candidate accusations were levied on your candidate and convoy, which resulted to an accident, a runover for an accident, and the aggrieved were calling on your candidate of the APC to do them right.
Oh, that was an accident. An accident can happen any time, anyway. It wasn't orchestrated by us. It wasn't deliberate. I think the police are on that anyway. They are investigating it. But what is worrisome is that the PDP, in their usual style, wanted to play politics with it, playing politics with the lives of people. And they went to the deceased family's house to kind of pay condolence visit. I wonder why they did that. That was too low, if you ask me. You play politics with people's lives, it's an accident. And the police will investigate and will come out with the details of the accident. I'm very sure it was not caused by the APC convoy. It was an accident, and an accident can only be proven by who's wrong will be proven by the Nigeria police after investigation. But it is disheartening that the PDP had to take undue advantage of human lives to play politics by immediately going to visit the family of the bereaved. We sympathize with the bereaved. Our candidates in due course will also go and pay them the visit, but we won't play politics with the dead. That is our stand. So let the police investigation come out. From there, we can now take it off from there.
All right, Mr. Kenneth. Now, Mr. Kenneth, the PDP has raised concerns about the potential compromise in the electoral process, and also they've urged security agencies to uphold professionalism. So how does the APC plan to ensure that the upcoming elections are safe, free, and also fair regarding with this in mind?
Their concern, I don't understand what is their concern. The issue that the police has to do his job. I think the PDP is only trying to blackmail the Nigeria police force from carrying out their duties. Please, let's take this fact. Let's be mindful of this fact. It was APC that was attacked at the airport, not PDP. And it was a police officer, and oddly, to our candidate, Senator Nenadi Usman, that was killed in the process, not PDP. We are the victim here. They are trying to play the victim. No, we are the victim. We were the one attacked at the airport. And whoever did that, don't know the reason why they did that. But we know that they attacked us based on the fact that the head of the deputy governor was coming to me for his duty. And at that moment, the heart was comfortable with that. But we know that the attack that this was attacked at the airport. And to the senator, our governorship candidate, was killed in that process. Now, the police have duty to fish out the killers, and they have suspects, and they have invited those suspects to come and, at least, if you don't have skeleton in your cupboard, once the police invite you, you go and clear yourself. But as we speak,
those suspects have refused to go and answer the call of the police. Rather, they're hiding in government houses, in government house. The government is showing. They are there. They will appear on campus and make force to go back to government house and hide. We don't are there. They are in the public domain. Now,
all right,
the
Mr.
fact is that
Kenneth.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Mr. Kenneth. And at this time, we will have to say thank you very much for coming through. We struggled a bit with the connection, but we heard most of what you said. Thank you very much, Mr. Kenneth, for being a part of the morning show this morning. Thank you.
So much. My pleasure.
Now let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we've got a very interesting extra special waiting for you. Only if you stay tuned here for Breakfast Extra on News Central. Welcome to Perspectives, where we dive deep into the issues that matter to you and me, and also giving you guys insight and also clarity on some of the most complex topics shaping our nation today. One of the most important yet often misunderstood processes in our governance is the national budget. Every year, the government allocates funds for key sectors like education, health, security, and infrastructure.
But how many of us actually understand how the budget works? What does it mean when we hear terms like deficit, allocation, or revenue projections? To find out, we hit the streets to ask everyday Nigerians a simple question. Budget. How does it work? Take a look.
Sincerely, I'm not an accountant professionally. I'm not an economist, so I cannot tell you. I only have peripheral idea of how things are being done politically. That it has to pass some level of, it passes stages. And when a bill comes up from probably a legislator, it has to pass some stages before it gets to the presidential assent, where it becomes a law, where it becomes a policy.
Actually, I don't know how the budget is drawn, because I'm not an economist. I'm a lecturer by profession, but what I teach is nutrition and dietetics. So I don't really know how budget is drawn.
I don't really have much insight, but from my observation from reading newspapers, I understand that the area they're supposed to put more priority on the budget is not considered. You understand? Rather, they put more priority to their own, let's say, surface interests. When you look at, they only talk about themselves, the politicians, that's what I mean. They allocate so much budget for themselves. Imagine you have sitting allowance, talking allowance, newspaper allowance. All those allowances can go a long way to help the masses. But it's not like that. So where they're supposed to put priority, like in agriculture, security, they are not doing that. So I think the government should take a second look at that and at least consider the masses when they are drafting their budget.
I know there is budget. Naturally, even in the house, we make budget. But Nigeria budget, nobody understands what they do. We know they have budget, but they don't make it public. That is what I can say about Nigerian budget.
We are having issue of insecurity everywhere. So insecurity affects the agricultural products. It affects the farmers from going to farm. So the government did not do well under Boric administration by ensuring that the farmers are given enough security to do their work. By now, had it been there was enough farming during Buhari's administration, this Tinubu's administration will not suffer loss of food, scarcity.
I believe if government should focus more on agriculture, it will do more good than harm. Because I would like to even put it in Yoruba, because there is an adage that says, "Tí ebi bá ti kúrò nínú ìṣẹ́, ìṣẹ́ bùṣe." So if people, because we have on the street, we have so many people begging for food, we have so many beggars, and that they cannot even afford a meal per day. So I believe if government should focus more on agriculture, it will increase the level of food commodities that we have in the society.
These two areas, I think agriculture and security, Because if you look at the reason why we have high cost of food product now is because there is no security. So they should budgeted more on security and agriculture. Agriculture is a sector that employ more people. It will even create more job opportunity for people and more food for everybody. When you are hungry, you don't even consider how much you are earning. As far as you have food to eat in the morning, even though it's 2 square meals, which nobody can even get nowadays. You even see people that are well dressed begging. Even right now, somebody was just begging me. I was shocked. I thought maybe he said, "Please just buy me a buns. I don't need your money, just buns for me to eat." So you can imagine the essence that our country has gone to. This is a country. If you look at our flag, it's green and white. That green stands for agriculture. That's the core. That's when Nigeria started. We were based on agriculture and we are doing well.
Any country that fails security, the country has failed. The area they need to do is they need to put more effort on security, because without security there is no food. Look at what is happening in the north now. Nobody can go to the farm. Nobody can go to the. Why can't we go to the farm? If they go to the farm, they are not sure of their life. Their life is at risk. So everybody will remain at home. And that country cannot grow without security. They should put priority to security and make sure that those security men are well paid.
Looking at what has been happening in the last few days, the issues of kidnapping, the issues of banditry, issues of stealing and the rest of that. Another area I feel like the government should look at is the area of creating employment for the youth. In a country where the youths are not engaged, in the country where the youths are not employed, what you expect is thuggery, robbery, and all the other vices that come with unemployment.
Well, as we just saw, there's a wide range of understanding out there when it comes to how the national budget operates. Some Nigerians seem to have a decent grasp of the basics, while others are still in the dark. It's no surprise, really. The budget is a complex and often technical process. But at the end of the day, it directly impacts our daily lives, from the price of goods to the quality of public services.
Well, what she said. I do agree. I do agree. But coming up next, we're going to be examining the irregularities in the 2024 budget as revealed by Tracker, a Nigerian non-profit promoting transparency and accountability in budget and public resources through infographics. So do stay tuned, because this is going to entertain and also inform you. We'll be back.
And we are diving headfirst into a shocking revelation about Nigeria's 2024 budget. According to a recent analysis by Tracker, an open source service delivery monitoring platform, the federal government has allocated budgets worth a staggering 628 billion naira to the wrong agencies. This includes misplaced projects under agencies like the SMEDAN, and allocations for vague empowerment projects that are difficult to track.
Vague is the word. Now, what does this mean for fiscal transparency and accountability in Nigeria? Well, I also have to ask, what impact could this have on service delivery for the average Nigerian? Joining us today to break down this alarming situation is Sami Tunji, financial analyst from Nairametrics. Sami Tunji, you are welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. So please, let's get right into it.
Thank you for coming on.
So Sami,
thank you.
Tracker's report revealed that over 628 billion naira worth of projects were allocated to the wrong agencies in 2024 budget. How does such a massive misallocation occur, and what does it suggest about Nigeria's budget planning process?
Well, I think it's a troubling scenario, because usually a project is meant to go through a certain process and is meant to be vetted by the budget office, by the National Assembly and all that. So the appearance of our or the allocation of about 628 billion on over 2,000 projects to the wrong agency is kind of alarming in a sense. Now, if you look at the breakdown of the figures, for instance, SMEDA was allocated, I think, about 5 billion to create, to purchase official vehicles for traditional rulers. This is a kind of wasteful spending because it has literally no direct benefit to ordinary Nigerians that are suffering, that are battling inflation of about 33%. In a sense, it kind of encourages corruption. It encourages a lot of other vices in the country. Now, let's look at the example of the SMEDA buying official vehicles for selected traditional rulers. When it comes to time for election, such traditional ruler can become vulnerable enough to influence voting in their communities. So this kind of distortion has detrimental effects on the country and a lot of on the economy generally, because now we are battling with high inflation, and certain wasteful spending of the government can also contribute to the issue of inflation in the country.
Sammy, I'm so glad you're talking about wasteful spending and how it would affect the economy, the nation's economy. The report also mentioned that 732 billion naira has been allocated to vague empowerment projects, which has been increasingly inserted into the budget, right? So why are these empowerment projects problematic for fiscal transparency? Let's start there.
Okay, now we talk about empowerment program. What exactly do they mean by empowerment program? Is it to go to a community, talk to them about, oh, you can achieve this, you can achieve that? Or is it buying some items, maybe buying, I think there's one that had to do with machines for grinding or things like that, or buying sewing machine for people in a particular community. Most of them are even used as party gifts to their party members. So, in a sense, these are significantly wasteful because there's no clear transparency around how has this money been spent, who exactly are the beneficiaries, how has it made their life better over probably a 1 year period, yes, also the amount is how much of that allocation has actually been spent. Although there's still the issue of this money allocated actually being spent, they've been released and spent. There's a separate discussion on that. But the issue still remains, what exactly is the main significance of this empowerment program? How empowered is probably a woman in a rural environment struggling to make ends meet? If okay, I think there was a time there was a political figure that donated, I think, wheelbarrows to a particular community. Now, someone pushing wheelbarrow across maybe the market area, trying to make a living and earning maybe a little change every day, that person is still battling with food inflation, which will erode most of the person's income. So I think significant work still needs to be done to investigate how this empowerment program are being carried out across the country, to investigate where exactly are the beneficiaries of this empowerment program and how truly empowered they are. Has such program made their life better? If not, then such money should be allocated for more significant public infrastructure projects in the country.
About the wheelbarrows, I can understand that, well, people might be able to use the wheelbarrows to maybe fend for a living, but it's that it came from the news agency budget, the news agency allocation, that really worries me. And that's not the only place we saw that. We also saw that happen in the Ministry of Women Affairs, where they were allocating funds for refrigerators in the Senate President's constituency. So with all of this, how does it affect public trust in the budget system?
Yeah, thank you. So now we're talking about an agency like NAN, public donating, buying wheelbarrow to donate to a community. First, they have no business doing that. It is not their mandates. In a sense, when you are assigning or allocating funds to the wrong agency, you kind of break the fragile trust between the people and those in political power. First, they are making demands. Oh, we want to increase tax or want to expand our tax base. We need to get more money, and you are introducing a number of taxes. People will feel this. So, if you are expecting the public to offer something, what are you giving in turn to the public? So, in a way, it's creating a kind of trust misalignment, because you are not giving people the reason to actually trust you to say, oh, this money that you have budgeted, they are doing it for our own good. Fine, maybe the ordinary person that gets a wheelbarrow may be excited, oh, I've seen something to use for my daily business. But imagine if such a person has different family members to feed, and to what extent would that money be made? The money made from the wheelbarrow business be enough to feed maybe a family of 3 or 5? So there are more economic issues that needs to be addressed beyond just plastic empowerment program that are being carried out by political office holders. So until we fix that issue in the budgets of wrong agency getting wrong allocation. For instance, I think there's an agency for Center for Agricultural Mechanization also getting money to build offices for Federal Road Safety Corps. That is, the agency has no business whatsoever building offices for Federal Road Service Corps. Nigeria has one of the lowest agricultural mechanization in the world, not just even in Africa. Such agencies should be focused on that aspect. So for an agency not doing what it's meant to do and doing something else, kind of shows that you don't care about the people you are meant to cater for, people you are meant to be concerned about. And those are like major issues with the budget.
And let's boil it down to the root cause of this. Do you think it's because of, why do you think this is happening? Is it that there's no accountability? Of course, we understand that transparency is a different conversation entirely. But how is it that these funds are being allocated to ministries and agencies and departments that they ought not to be, and on trivial things that it shouldn't be there? So who then should be held accountable? What is the root cause of this?
Well, I think it boils down significantly to corruption, then to the lack of thorough vetting in the process, the poor job done by probably the National Assembly in truly vetting to ensure that agencies are getting what is in alignment with their mandates. So yes, corruption plays a significant role. Then I think agencies like the EFCC and ICPC need to also step up their game to actually investigate certain things in the budget. Should this thing be? I think there was a report by Center for Social Justice that said about 500 billion allocation just for frivolous item. Those are very, very concerning, and they need to be addressed.
So, Sami, the tracker report called for agencies to actually investigate the budget, also the agencies that have been allocated these funds. But I wanted to ask you what responsibility we have as individuals. I don't know if you saw our perspective this morning and the fact that most Nigerians don't even know how the budget works, let alone, speaking of where the budgets or the allocations should go and which agency is responsible for what allocation. So what responsibility do Nigerians have, or should there be some sort of awareness when it comes to budget allocation so people would know who exactly to hold responsible for what?
Well, I think there's a level of awareness already. If you go to Twitter, budget tracker and a whole lot of other agencies, even general media platforms are doing a lot of work already, although there is still more to be done. But we cannot blame ordinary Nigerians for not knowing a number of things that are happening, because a number of them are on the streets trying to make their.
But it would seem this is why they're actually taking advantage of the situation, because if they don't know exactly where this is supposed to go, and they don't know now, so let's just get it done anyhow, put it in this agency, they don't know any better. So I'm thinking...
Well, that's the sad reality, but as media personnel, we have a greater role to play to ensure that the ordinary person, even in a rural area, gets the news and is aware of these issues, these irregularities in the budget, to be well informed, to be able to hold, to be able to ensure that those in political office are accountable for these allocations.
And holding them responsible, right? I'm always curious. This report is out there. Tracker has done it. Budget has done it. A number of other non-profit organizations who are keen on transparency are doing these. But unfortunately, this information just ends there being public knowledge. We don't see the anti-graft agency like the FCCPC or the EFCC, hold, for example, the Minister of Women's Affairs accountable, culpable for it. Should they? What next? And, calling for responsibility.
I think yesterday there was a news that the EFCC said that Nigerians should report abandoned, uncompleted constituency projects. And that's a start. Hopefully it will not just be, oh, you guys should do this. They should also be able to earn the trust of Nigerians by taking further steps to hopefully open a case that Nigerians will be aware of, not a secret case, that Nigerians will be aware of, to kind of build this broken trust to say, oh, yes, we understand that there are issues and we are working towards addressing that issue. I think that is very important. And the EFCC needs to do better. The ICPC needs to do better. The budget office of the Federation needs to do better to ensure that there's first monitoring and evaluation. This allocation, when funds are released, to what extent have they been done? I think Tracker is also doing a great job tracking constituency projects and other allocations across the country. It's now up to agencies that has the power to follow up and say, oh, you got this money to do this in this particular area. What's the progress report? What have you done? If you have not done this, why haven't you done this? And follow up on that. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
A lot.
On the side, to the need for more transparency, to the need to go to the grassroots level to ensure that they are well informed, and hopefully with time may get better.
Well, Sammy, you put it very succinct and nicely. I don't think anyone else would have done justice to this topic. Sammy Tunji, he is a financial analyst with Nairametrics, and he joined us today to discuss the revealing, damning irregularities with the 2024 budget as reported by Tracker. Once again, Sammy, many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on. We switch gears now to bring you sports in the meantime, and I wonder if all the budgets, the 20, Udoka is here, by the way. Udoka, in the budget, how much was given for sports?
Let's not even talk about what was given for the sports, the athletes, football players, swimmers, table tennis players, because a lot of money was spent, but for the returns, it was a sad one, especially for the Olympics, because Nigeria didn't do well at the Olympics, but of course, for the Paralympians, they did perform well, but on record, it is the worst performance for Paralympics in Nigeria. Since,
yes, this one there.
Exactly.
Imagine for even them for breaking a world record, getting gold medals, but they still had the worst turnout since they started participating. That means something.
All right, guys, let's celebrate the wins, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Well, yes, we do celebrate. Of course, we celebrate the wins, and they did visit I was almost going to say White House. They visited Aso Rock yesterday, and they were received by the First Lady, where they received cash donations. So it was a huge success for them. But again, on record, the worst performance in Paralympics.
There you go again, Udoka. Just bring the sports.
We have to rub it in. But of course, let's talk sports now and everything happening across the world of sports. As in the Nigeria Premier Football League, Remo Stars continue their perfect start to the 2023-2024 season with a slim 1-0 victory over Sunshine Stars. Now, the game was the first Southwest derby of the season, decided at the Remo Stars Stadium in Akeni. It was a debut goal for Shuaib Ibrahim. Now, the Sky Blue Stars have now gone over 180 minutes of action to secure back-to-back victories and clean sheets. Elsewhere, Rivers United earned their first maximum points of the season with a comfortable 3-1 win over struggling Heartland Football Club. Now, a brace from Kabir Abdullahi and A goal from Taufik Otani secured the maximum points for the Pride of River State. Now, Emmanuel Amuneke has now tasted back-to-back defeats in his opening games with the Nazi Millionaires. And just so you know, for Emmanuel Amuneke, he is the manager for Heartland FC, and you can see him with Finidi George, the former manager for Inyimba right there. And of course, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Emmanuel Amuneke took charge of Heartland, who made a return to the Nigeria Premier Football League. But of course, things have not been going so well for the Nazi Millionaires. Now, looking at the games to go down later today, still talking about the Nigeria Premier Football League. Akwa United will be in action, taking on Abia Warriors. Bayelsa United will take on Kano Pillars. Katsina United versus Bendel Insurance. Niger Tornadoes versus Nasarawa United. Shooting Stars will take on Plateau United. And those are the games that you get to see in the Nigeria Premier Football League. We're from that, let's go straight to USA and talk about the Major League Soccer. But before then, let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll give you more of what's happening in the world of sports. Still talking sports now, Lionel Messi marked his return from injury with 2 goals and an assist to help Inter Miami to a 3-1 win against Philadelphia Union, that is in the Major League Soccer. The World Cup winning Argentina captain had not played since injuring his ankle in his country's Copa America final victory over Colombia in July. That saw him miss this month's World Cup qualifiers, while he also sat out 8 games for his Major League Soccer side, although they lead the MLS Eastern Conference standings. Now, the 37-year-old former Barcelona star played the full 90 minutes in his first start for 3 months. Now, Philadelphia took the lead after 58 seconds through Michael Ure, but Miami equalized in the 26th minute with Lionel Messi scoring from a pass from Luis Suarez, following a good work from another ex-Barcelona teammate in Jordi Alba. Messi fired his team ahead 4 minutes later after being teed up by Alba and went on to set up Suarez for Miami's 3rd deep in second half injury time. But like a good combination from the former Barcelona football players right there, Messi, Suarez, and of course Jordi Alba. Now moving on to UFC, Merab Dvalishvili is the new UFC bantamweight champion after beating Sean O'Malley in the main event of the UFC 306. Now that happened at the Sphere in Las Vegas. The Georgian put in a tireless performance across 5 rounds in which he remained clear of O'Malley's striking reach, landing numerous takedowns, and was able to leverage his superior body strength whenever he closed the distance to his opponent. Now, the judges recognized the machine's dominant execution of a perfect game plan with a 49-46, 48-47, 48-47 score in favor of the new champion. In the co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko reclaimed the women's flyweight championship with a dominant unanimous decision triumph over Alexa Grasso. Now, Bullet bossed the fight throughout, enjoying better striking and landing takedowns with ease before controlling her opponent on the ground, earning a 50-45, 50-45, 50-45 victory via the judges' scorecards. In the world of car racing, we head now talking about Formula One as Ferrari's Charles Leclerc took pole position at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for the 4th year in a row as Lando Norris suffered a blow to his hopes of gaining ground on title rival Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Now, Norris, who is trying to close the 62 points gap to Verstappen over the final 8 races of the year, encountered yellow flags on his final lap in the first session and faces a difficult task on Sunday. Now, he qualified 17th, but he will start 16th because Alpine's Pierre Gasly, who qualified 13th, had been disqualified from qualifying for a technical infringement. Now, Verstappen is in better shape, but could still manage only 6th fastest as Red Bull continue to struggle for pace compared to their rivals. Verstappen's problems, his teammates, Sergio Perez, was 2 places ahead of placing him in 4th place, should have provided Norris a perfect opportunity to capitalize on that one. Now, the Britain's teammate, Oscar Piastri, qualified 2nd to Charles Leclerc and ahead of the 2nd Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Of course, in football, Arsenal fans are looking forward to a Super Sunday cracker, talking about the North London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. But for Arsenal, suffering major injury crisis because Martin Odegaard will be likely missing from that game. There's Julian Timber, and of course, Calafiori missing, and Declan Rice misses that one because of a red card he sustained in their last game. And that's a wrap on Sport Update on Breakfast Extra. I am Udoka Njoko. Thank you for watching.
And welcome. Let's do breakfast headlines here on Breakfast Extra. My name is Mazino Appeal. Let's begin with issues in the Nigerian oil sector, where marketers are calling for direct access to petrol from the Dangote Refinery, criticizing the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation's dominant control over the market. Chinedu Ukadike, the National Publicity Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, urged that the market should remain open to all, in line with the NNPCL's earlier willing buyer, willing seller commitment. The NNPC had stated that it was not the sole buyer of products from the Dangote refinery and that the refinery was free to sell its petrol to any marketer. However, just a week later, the federal government announced that the NNPCL would be the exclusive buyer of petrol from the refinery. At a press briefing in Abuja on Friday, Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, confirmed that marketers interested in purchasing petrol would need to go through the National Oil Firms Trading Company. And away from that, Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has declared the upcoming September 21 governorship election a do-or-die affair, warning against any attempts to rig the poll. Speaking at the grand finale of the People's Democratic Party's campaign in Benin on Saturday, Obaseki emphasized that the election posed an existential threat. During the rally at Marik Memorial Secondary School, the acting national chairman of the PDP, Iliya Damagun, also made a strong statement vowing that party members would defend their votes with blood. The Edo PDP had earlier refused to sign a peace accord, citing the illegal arrest and detention of its members. Tensions remain high, with both the PDP and APC accusing each other of inciting violence and engaging in vote buying ahead of the election. The Zamfara state government has condemned, or rather commended, the establishment of a new military command with headquarters to be stationed in Gusau, the state capital. The state government applauded the decision, which was made known by the Chief of Defense Staff following his visit to Gusau, the state capital. The senior special assistant to the state governor on broadcast media, press and public affairs says that the command will cater for the special security needs of Katsina, Zamfara and Sokoto states. All domiciled in the northwest region, he says that the increased operational tempo of the military, which has led to the killing of several notorious terrorist commanders in the state, has brought some relief to citizens of the state.
We met Chief of Defense Staff before meeting Chief of Army Staff. So it was based on his persistent call, persistent demand for the restoration of peace and security in Zamfara that warrant President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to send Chief of Army Staff. First, he was here early this year to see things for himself, and then of recent yesterday, General Christopher Musa, he came. He told Governor Dauda Lawan that he was in the state at the instance of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for him to come and establish a theater of operation in the northwest. They called Operation Fansanyama, the way, if I can vividly quote CDS right, he said the theater of operation will be situated in Gusau, Zamfara state capital. The commandant of the operation will be named, and then President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, approved the deployment of more personnel, more military personnel and equipment. The theater of operation will be sited in the next 2 weeks. We have started seeing the impact of his visit. Of recent, the military succeeded in killing a very notorious bandit kingpin by name Kachala Halil Sububu.
In North Africa, tragedy struck in northern Egypt on Saturday as 2 trains collided, killing 3 people, including 2 children, according to the health ministry and state media. The crash, which occurred in Zagazig, around 80 kilometers north of Cairo left 49 others injured, the health ministry confirmed on social media. This is the latest in a series of deadly accidents plaguing Egypt's aging rail network, long criticized for its poor infrastructure and mismanagement. Egypt's state-owned newspaper Al-Haram confirmed that 2 children were among the fatalities. Transport Minister Kamel El-Wazir stated in a television interview that the cause of the crash was due to the human element, but further details would be left to security services to determine. He also confirmed there were no technical issues with the trains. And that's all on headlines. My name is Mazino Appeal. Do stay tuned. We're going to go back into the issues inside of Breakfast Extra in just a minute. Stay tuned.
And you're welcome. It's time for Wellness Central, the show that brings you expert advice and valuable insights into keeping your mind and body healthy. And so today we're addressing a topic that affects many women, but it's often misunderstood. It's so misunderstood that I went ahead of time to start having that conversation, and you most likely must have heard the snippets of it. It's called bacterial vaginosis. It's a common vaginal infection that can cause discomfort and worry. But with the right knowledge, which we're about to discuss today, and also treatment, it's manageable. And so to help us understand BV better, what it is, its symptoms, and the best solutions, we have with us a special guest joining us today. She is Dr. Ibukoluwa Yusuf. There we go.
I'm going to help you out with your Yoruba.
Yeah, I'm struggling with Yoruba. It's no secret. Okay, but Ibukoluwa Yusuf, yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr.
Thank you for having me.
We were having a conversation. And our hot mics were on, and you most likely must have heard it. And I just couldn't wait to have this conversation with you. And it's about bacterial vaginosis, which is also known as BV. So tell us, what is it? How does it differ from other vaginal infections? And you said that it's not considered an SID, which is sexually infectious disease.
Exactly. So the thing with bacterial vaginosis, BV for short, is that what it typically does is that it changes the, let's just say, normal flora of the vagina. So the thing is that there are like normal bacteria that resides there. Okay, and this bacteria, they produce acids, and they keep the pH of the vagina acidic, moderately acidic, between about 3.8 to about 4.85 thereabout pH of the vagina. And then what happens with BV is that there's just this shift, this alteration, like recolonization by whatever other bacteria. They may not be harmful typically, but when they get there, they sort of just shift the whole thing, and then they start to do their own stuff. So yeah, the vagina is there, it is healthy, it's producing its lactic acid, it's just doing its own stuff, and then one random other bacteria that's not supposed to be there just comes in and starts
I'm sorry, doctor, I'm a guy, so I don't really understand. So I would like to know exactly how this manifests when this random bacteria, what is it? Is it a, I don't know.
Philandering joystick that brought it in?
What does it present as exactly?
Exactly. So when this random other bacteria gets in, so number one, it reduces the normal bacteria that is there. It sort of like fights for space. And then so when it's reducing the normal bacteria, that one is no longer producing the acid. And this other one is producing whatever. So the pH of the vagina starts to go up.
So when the pH goes up, what does it present as? Is it like, can I visually see that there's something wrong, or can I sense that there's somehow
like symptoms?
Yeah, so you will see the, well, not you, the women.
He has a daughter now.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yes,
so that is the vaginal discharge. It is grayish off-white, and it has this smell. We call it fishy. the smell. So, I mean, I could walk you through the whole process where that happens, but I mean, I don't want to bore you. But yeah,
it gives... It's so boring. So boring.
So, that is, number one, it starts to increase the pH, and then there is more of this other bad bacteria just floating around, increasing pH, reducing the normal one that's supposed to be there. Then they produce something called amines. So this one, volatile amines, they start to produce the smell. So the discharge plus the smell is what is the typical presentation, or what people typically see when they have BV.
And it's not an SID, you said?
Yes.
You mentioned that.
So, yet. That's the keyword.
Gotcha. So I'm watching this, right? And I kind of see the symptoms. I kind of see what you're saying. Or I seem to know a friend or a family member who has this. What is the first thing this person needs to do? Do they first of all go for a test to know that they actually have the BV, or what are the first steps?
Okay, so something very interesting about this BV is, like I said, it is not considered an STI just yet, but because of the presence of this thing, it sort of like lets other stuff in. HIV and other STIs can now colonize because now the vagina is no longer LD. So it is very important that the person gets tested. Why? Because apart from that, you need to know it is BV for sure. You also need to know if there is any other stuff that is associated with BV so that the treatment is effective. You can treat everything and they go all at once. So you definitely need to go to the hospital and get tested. That test, a swipe of the vagina, has to be done. That is now looked at, by the expert.
I have seen people go online to go and look for quick fixes. I have heard situations where they insert Greek yogurts to asking you to increase your probiotic intake. They've asked people.
Sorry, go back. Greek what?
Greek yogurt. I have seen. Look, because, you don't want to know the things that women go through. In this, so I don't know if you know about this. So when, you see women would say, "Oh, if you," it's all on YouTube. It's all over YouTube. It's on
wrong.
TikTok. Let's ask you, right? What there's people who go to look for quick fixes to fix their pH, because your pH needs to be at a certain level, and you need to insert Greek yogurts, and you need to drink this and that, and put it into your uha. So that's another one I heard about cloves. It's interesting.
Oh, wow.
I know. So help us here.
So, I mean, my heart is breaking already. Like, who said these things? I need to get them arrested. I
can pull YouTube videos after YouTube and TikToks after TikToks.
Okay, so, yeah, people need to understand that even if you want to keep the pH level of your vagina, you need like information. You can't just listen to every random person on the internet saying do this or don't do that. I mean, it may work, but it may be disastrous. So I think I was having a conversation sometime. I was somewhere, and I have this like bottle of this feminine wash. So, I mean, I like it. I like the smell. I mean, this has been like a while. I've not had this since. But then I just use it randomly. And then I had this group of women saying, they put it in. Okay. And then in my head, I'm like, did I read the instruction on the bottle wrong? Like, why are you trying to...
Soap.
I mean,
that is
just get a brush, just,
So
so women do these things, and you'll be surprised at how many women actually go ahead and just take information from anywhere. I think there's this bottle, it has instruction on it, you all just have to read it. So the thing is, women put all sorts in, and that is like very wrong. I mean, the normal thing you're even supposed to put in, you still need to be careful with it, talk less of like putting all this other stuff. So for like treatment, you need to like get treatment done. you have to go to an expert. You need to know what is there, what other stuff is there, and then you need to like have it properly treated.
What about those who buy treatment on Instagram as well? There's a whole page that is dedicated to balancing your pHs. People have made millions of it and selling boric acid.
Where do you get this?
Google boric acid.
Yes. So yeah, I want to talk about boric acid.
Thank you.
Suppository. Yeah, they are good. They are helpful, really. They are not treatment. So like every other supplement, you let people know they don't treat. They do not treat. What they do is maintain, keep it healthy, keep it, classy.
First off.
Demure.
Keep it classy, keep it demure, and keep it cutesy. So exactly. So you could couple it with treatments. So once someone is getting treated for BV or any other STI, don't let me say any other STI, because again, BV is not an STI just yet. But the mode of transmission is somewhat related to...
I couldn't wait to get back to that, because earlier you said that not yet, it's not an STI yet. When and how does BV become sexually transmitted, if at all?
Oh, so, I mean...
Philandering joystick?
Yeah. Oh, God. No. Okay, so the thing is, studies is showing that even though it is linked to sexual activities, in itself, sexual activity is not the sole cause. So let's say they're testing, so with typical STIs, you treat the partner. If you can get the partner, of course. If you know the partner, you treat the person, treat the partner. And if you don't know the partner, you're advised to use the condoms, So, but with this one, there wasn't much improvement or changes when the person is treated, the partner is treated. They still get the thing. So
that means that person is not right for this thing now.
So it could just be, like I said, other bacteria. They may necessarily not be harmful to any other part of the body, but they could just be lingering around, maybe on the cab, on the, just around, or on the finger, and someone is introducing
my
it.
My brain is doing this thing where it's just coming up with jokes, and I cannot say
don't. So you're saying that it's not introduced into the body. It's by just the sexual member. It could be anything, just by contact, your fingers, your touch, or any exposure to the bacteria.
Dirty fingers, not brushed your tongue, dirty gums, your underwear that is too tight.
Okay.
Most likely?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that happens.
Long fingernails that has embedded dirt in them.
And then, men typically think, they're doing something pleasurable. You're changing the pH of your girl.
By introducing...
You're increasing the pH level, and then you're causing whatever other bacteria, they just start getting in.
So habit is a big factor.
I mean, I think we need to talk about men hygiene in sex. Men are always like, women should be hygienic, women should do this, that.
We're also responsible as well.
Yes, you need to take responsibility as well. You need to keep your partner safe. Wash your hands before sex, wash your thing before sex, just...
Use spirit and clean it with cloth.
No, that's not I don't think
scrap your tongue, brush your teeth, just be clean before sex. You need to do it.
Right.
This is all about it.
I was trying to keep it in, I swear.
Now, if it presents itself, like you have just noted, in female, in the female anatomy, like so, smells and discharge, how does it present in men, if at all?
It doesn't present.
It doesn't present in men.
But you can still transmit it to your partner.
Exactly.
With no presentation.
No, they don't get it. They don't have it. It's bacterial vaginosis for a reason. They don't have it. It doesn't occur in male.
But they can traffic it. They can transmit it.
Traffic. I like that word.
Yeah, because they have not. I'm gonna stop. I won't say anything anymore because I just.
Can we kick her out now?
Again, I think I need you to sound the alarm on personal hygiene for men. I think you need to sound the alarm for personal hygiene for men, especially those who are women who continually, because I understand that BVs can be recurring, and you can do everything, change your underwear, and it's still recurring. And maybe someone is watching and most likely just has one partner for the entirety of their lives, but they still have to deal with this thing again. So just again, just sound the alarm and just, reiterate on personal hygiene.
So, I mean, I think majority of women already do the whole personal hygiene thing. But men, we need to let you guys know, we need to let men out there know that it is very important. In fact, it is actually like super important, more important for them to keep their own hygiene than their partner. So, just be clean before going into sex. Don't come with your sweaty body, sweaty arms. The same mouth you just used to eat pepper soup or asu or something, and then you just put it there. Please,
Judith just mentioned something about recurring instances.
Yes.
So for women who have recurring instances of BV, how do they take care of that? What do they do? Do you have to change material that you use or change?
Okay. Yeah. So, women, when you have BV, you have to wash all your underwear. You could.
How about changing all of it?
Yeah, I mean that could, if you can afford it.
Do you have to change your partner as well?
Throw the partner away.
Your partner? Wow.
Throw the entire man away.
Throw the man away. That could work.
Do in that regard as well. While if she presents with BV and says, okay, we have to do something about this. If this is the couple, and it's recurring. Okay, fine. She's changing all of her materials, all of her underwear, and all of that. As a responsible man, what do I need to do? Do I also have to change my underwear as well?
Yeah, that could be helpful. Although it's not like necessary for you to do that. You just keep your own hygiene.
Dr. Yusuf is like, that could be helpful if you can throw yourself away. Whatever away, whatever. Has never been left out. Okay. But really, the boric acid, yes,
they help. They really do. So again, supplement, not treatment. So don't use it thinking it's going to treat the BV or whatever else you're having. It won't treat. But with treatment, you can add it, like just to complement the whole thing. And then once you take out the bad bacteria, that one can now help your vagina recolonize with the actual bacteria that should be there, and then everything goes back to normal.
Healthy eating, also exercising. When you're sweating, sometimes this area we sweat there as well. Most people don't know that. Can that also be part of? What would you say to those who go to the gym?
Okay, so I'm a gym girl myself.
I can see now your muscles they're peeping from. Look at her bicep. I saw. It's like, yes, my girl exercises.
Yeah, so I'm a gym girl myself. What I have personally done, I mean, I don't think there's any studies about this one, is that to go to the gym, I wear a panty liner. So it just soaks whatever sweat around, and it doesn't get to.
And then when you're using all the other machines, sitting on them wet as well, sometimes you have to. So
I'm not having direct contact with the machine, so I do that.
Are panty liners safe? Because I've heard, in many instances, that overuse of panty liners can also change the pH of one's.
So number one, I'd like to know where you heard this from. I think we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about
like
this,
so many information out there that random people. Someone could just set a ring light. And then just say whatever and is on the internet, and then you Google something and that's the information you see. So number one, I'd like to know where the source of this information.
I can't recall currently, but I'm pressed. I'm not allowed to tell my sources. I'm joking. But it's news, it's word around. People tell it all the time. I'm sure. I've
heard it. We had that conversation in the makeup room as well about that being bad.
So is it true or not?
Okay, so it's not bad. So when is it overuse? I don't know what they mean. Is it?
Are you using it every day, for instance?
Okay, so I don't use it every day. They're just some days, and then for a couple of hours.
Right. I use mine. That's too much of personal information, but I think that I use mine closer to the cycle. You know what I mean? Because I feel like getting closer to the cycle, you have more of that moist going on, so you have to do that to get more dry. So I think that's what.
So whatever helps, whatever gets it going. So I just like to, again, I said going to the gym, I don't like direct contact with
At
anything.
all,
Even
at
though I
all.
clean everywhere before
Everywhere.
I still like, no, let me just protect myself. So yeah, you could use it for a couple of hours in a day, maybe
Yeah.
not every day.
Yeah.
On when you feel like you need to. So,
Just extra dryness.
I mean, there's no need to use panty liner every day.
At all.
There's definitely no need for that. So once in a while, when you feel like you just want that extra protection, yeah, you definitely
Yeah.
could go ahead and use a panty liner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will remember that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's it. But anyway, Dr. Ibukun Oluwa Yusuf, there we go. She's a medical doctor and she joined us today to talk about a very important conversation that women might be shy not to want to talk about this. They're afraid of it. They don't think it's important. But remember that having these conversations and open platforms like this is important so that you can be able to identify what's wrong and see a doctor and be, comfortable.
And
talking
thank you
about
for
it.
making it easy
And
on
so
the
thank
ears
you.
with a little,
Yeah.
little spice of humor there.
Yeah.
Made it easier to listen.
Well, remember that maintaining good health is important, and that's our job here at Wellness Central. Well, we'll take a short break here inside of Breakfast Extra. When we come back on the other side, it's going to be time for Focus Africa. And this time, it's about gender equality after 30 years of democracy in South Africa. Join us again.
South Africa as a nation has made incredible strides in its 30 years of democracy. Yet, one of its ongoing battles is achieving true gender equality. Since the end of apartheid in 1994, South Africa has made significant progress in advancing women's rights, but challenges still remain.
So from gender-based violence to pay gaps and political representation, the journey toward equality is far from over. So to explore the milestones, struggles, and the road ahead, we're joined by Javo Baloyi. He's a spokesperson from the Commission for Gender Equality in South Africa. And he joins us now to discuss more on Focus Africa. Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining us to begin with, and congratulations as South Africa celebrates 30 years of democracy. But what do you see as the major achievements in the fight for gender equality?
Thank you very much for having us as a Commission for Gender Equality all the way from Nigeria. As a Commission for Gender Equality, we believe we have made enormous strides insofar as women empowerment is concerned in the country. We have got so many voices of women who are in a position of leadership, who are the executives in their own rights and the captain of industries. We have, in 30 years of democracy, as part of a milestone, we have a Chief Justice who's a woman, who's leading the administration of the justice system in the country. We have also seen enormous strides insofar as the political arena is concerned. Since 1994, the ruling party by then, which was in majority, had women as deputy president, had women, a lot of women ministers. Even now, they have got a lot of women. We have got a girl child now doing the STEM subject in the country. We have also having the Commission for Gender Equality on its own. It's a milestone that needs to be celebrated because it is the voice of the voiceless. It is the voice of women who are marginalized. We have got also, we are able to talk to women and to the women leadership, have women as kings, as chiefs, as traditional leaders in South Africa. So those are some of the milestones, and now we are gearing in the arena of having women. The Commission for Gender Equality released a report on the 15th of August, wherein we decry the issue of women not being given enough opportunities owning communal land. So those are some of the things.
Right.
But the milestones are there. As much as the milestone, there still remains challenges, as you have alluded to in the introduction.
Now, Javo, let's talk about gender-based violence. It's a thing that South Africa has struggled with, and other African countries as well. What is the government of South Africa and also the local communities, what are they doing to help the situation when it comes to gender-based violence?
I'm glad about that question. The government of South Africa, under the leadership of His Excellency President Matamela Ramaphosa, has come with various acts. The Department of Justice, Constitutional Development, have come with various acts that have passed. Also, we have got something called Tutuzela Care Center in South Africa. It's a one-stop shop whereby you find a doctor, you find social worker, you find a police, you find a psychologist, and they are mushrooming in numbers. We also have the regional courts that are dealing with gender-based violence and issues of femicide. The country also in own, we have been vociferous. As a Commission for Gender Equality, to advocate for the rights of people throughout the country, not even the country, beyond the country. What we do very well as a country, we have got nice policies. What we need to move on is the implementation phase of it. We have got police officers who are working hard to keep the scourge of gender. Where I'm sitting in Pretoria, the statistics insofar as gender-based violence, they've gone down. So one other aspect that we're doing, they've passed an act whereby we're going to have a National Council on Gender-Based Violence through the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability in the country, wherein we are going to coordinate everything else coming from Statistics South Africa, from the Commission for Gender Equality, from the South African Police Services, so that we know the mileage. One of the things that we are cognizant of, people are reporting gender-based violence because the Commission for Gender Equality has made them to be aware and to be aware of their rights, so that it's indicative of the work that is being done. What we need to do is arrest the scourge. It is a challenge in South Africa. It is a challenge in Africa. It is a challenge throughout the globe. What we need to do as a collective, what we need to do as people, as families, even when I'm sitting inside the church, we need also to speak about this. We need to make sure that we frown and cringe upon gender-based violence. As a people, also make sure that the justice system is not heard, but is seen to be done, to be seen to be doing something about the perpetrators of this heinous crime. And if somebody runs from Nigeria, from Zimbabwe, from Kenya to South Africa, let the full might of the law take its course. If somebody runs from South Africa, let them be dealt with decisively in those respective countries. And it is upon our hands as Africans, as African diaspora, to ensure that we work collectively to arrest the scourge. And it's not about South Africa alone, because some of the activities are not committed by South Africans by themselves.
Okay, Javo, South Africa has made strides in women's representation in politics, like you've said, but there's still gender parity in leadership positions, and it's still very much a challenge. What are the key barriers that are preventing women from reaching top political and even corporate positions?
The key barrier is the conducive environment that exists there. You'll find that, in political parties, politicians and political parties, oftentimes they hold their meetings late in the evening, sitting issues of time, and that a woman by her own design and or being a caring person, they will not want to be in those meetings until early out of the morning. Then the conducive is not environment. It's not conducive. Second to which, we don't have policies that are geared in advancing the women's cause. Yes, we have got the framework, but we need to move and dismantle patriarchy. We need the agency that men, we embody as a body of collective, whereby we take down on women. We have got women in leadership, yes, but not in a position that they can influence policies. Most women in South Africa, they are in administrative roles, not only in South Africa, even we need to adopt a zebra crossing sort of like the Kenyans. When the president or the CEO is a male or a female, the next in line is that. That's how we're going to deal with this. And also, we need to be deliberate in making implementation the policies. The SADC protocol on gender and development, we have got the Maputo protocol, we have got all these protocols that, we have got the CEDAW, we have got PEPUDA, all the elimination of, the violent nature of the work environment. Remember, Africa and the globe, we're not used to a voice for women who is empowered. We are not used to women that will be in a workplace. I see watch a lot of Nigerian Nollywood movies whereby a woman was trained to go to work, and it's a challenge for a man when a woman is empowered. Similarly, in South Africa, it was the same in some of the communities. Even that's still men who believe that a girl child's place is in the kitchen. But we are moving slowly and gradually. We are moving. Those challenges are being arrested, are being dealt with. And we are grateful to the government, we are grateful to the Commission for Gender Equality for the enormous strides that are being made. But we still need to do more in order to ensure that, total gender equality and liberation of women in terms of empowerment, it's attained.
All right, Javo. So, Javo, let's take a look at the next 30 years in South Africa. So, sorry about that. What priorities is South African government taking? What policies are being put in place to ensure that in the next 30 years that this gender equality is a thing that has been addressed?
What we need to do, thank you, my brother, for that question. What we need to do as a country, it's a deliberate intent by all political parties. Remember, we have got so many political parties in South Africa. We have got so many individuals who are standing by themselves. Is to implement the policies that are there. Second to which is to ensure so that we move with speed insofar as implementation of everything else, and create that enabling environment that is geared into empowering a girl child, women out there. But we mustn't leave a boy child also. Also to dismantle patriarchal norms and values in us men. If we can do that as a country, I am telling you, South Africa, not only South Africa, SADC and the African diaspora will be moving in the right direction. We need also to listen to a voice of a woman. We need also as men to accept to be led going forward. We must also, the state must deliver as the chairperson of the commission, Advocate Tabseng Spanya Mokale and Dr. Matotoka will say, the CEO, all the time that we must be, the state must, as a constitutional democracy and based and empowered by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. We can do that, and the power, the money given to the commission, I am telling the next 30 years will just be manna from heaven in terms of empowerment and gender equality.
Well, we'll be here on the sidelines watching and also cheering on for gender equality in South Africa. Many thanks for doing this with us, Javo. Appreciate you for coming on. Javo Baluyi, he is the spokesperson for the Commission for Gender Equality. Once again, many thanks for doing this. We appreciate you for coming on.
You're most welcome. Thanks, bye. Thanks to you. Bye.
And a bit of breaking news for you here, with news just reaching us allegedly that the DSS and supporters of the Take It Back movement are present at the international airport in Lagos as they expect the arrival of Omoyele Sowore, who is a convener of the Take It Back movement, as well as the former presidential candidate and journalist. We'll bring you more details as it unfolds. Once again, this is just breaking report. We do not know the details, full details at this time, but as more news break, we will bring it for you in our Sosuke Bulletin. If you're just tuning in, we have information allegedly that the DSS and members of the Take It Back movement are at the international wing of the Murtala Mohammed Airport waiting for the arrival of Omoyele Sowore. We also understand that the Take It Back movement members are not allowed in and they've been denied entrance. We'll find out more details as they trickle in. For now, that's all we can give you at this time. And that's how we end the show today.
Yes, indeed. I was looking forward to meeting Sowore for the very first time, but we'll see what happens. And we'll bring you that information as it unfolds. But thank you very much for an exciting weekend.
Thank you very much for an exciting weekend.
Thank you as well for being with us since Saturday up until today. This ends this installment for this weekend, but of course we'll be back again next weekend. And we talked on some very interesting bits here today, especially our last bit on health there. And of course, the LP and also PDP crisis has been happening. When we adding any other party to this?
It will be M&J.
I don't know what that means, but she definitely is onto something.
Wait, now I was getting close. So Judith Appeal at TB, put the A together, and then Merzino to be Jam Party.
I've already put my appeal in somebody else's name, so I don't think
that's right. No, so it's A and A. Look at it, A and A.
I get it. I get it.
I bet you it will be A.
I get it though. But thank you very much. We're looking forward to an exciting installment for next weekend, so join us then.
So much to look forward to this week as well.
Yes.
From whether or not we'll see the queues disappear as the availability of the fuel from the Dangote refineries start to make way. We've heard that 300s of the trucks are now lifting those fuel. We'll wait to see what it would look like in the coming weeks, as well as Saturday, September 21st is going to be the gubernatorial elections. All eyes are going to be at Edo. Who will win? Labour, APC, or PDP? We'll wait to find out. Also, happy Maulud to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters as they are celebrating today. Now, hearts go out to those. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, by the way, forgive us. And also to all our friends and our loved ones and family and Nigerians who have been displaced with the flooding in Maiduguri. So please, our hearts go out to you. We'll see you on Saturday morning, bright and early, 8 a.m.
Goodbye, everybody.